So let's make a start. I'm going to invite you to bring yourself into a lying position. So you might want to lie on your back to begin. And I'm going to suggest you might want to put something underneath the back of your head. So you could put like a blanket behind the back of the head. If you find it useful to use a bolster as well, you might want to put one just behind the back of the knees. If lying flat or with the bolster under the knees doesn't feel comfortable, you can always bend your knees and bring your feet on the floor. And then an option here could be to let the thighs fall together. And then once you've found yourself in a position that hopefully feels comfortable for you, I want you to just rest your hands towards the lower part of your abdominal region. So just making sure that the elbows are resting on the floor. The hands haven't got to be touching each other. But we want to make sure that we're not causing any strain through the upper part of the arms, the shoulder area. And then what I'd like you to do is just roll your head off towards the left-hand side. So you're just gently going to roll as far as you can with the head off towards the left. And then gently bringing the head back to the center so the nose is pointing up towards the ceiling. And then rolling the head gently off towards the right-hand side. And gently bringing the head back up to the center. Again, if you need to adjust through the head, lift the head up and place it back down, please do. Ideally, we want our chin not really lifting up towards the ceiling, but just slightly towards the chest and collarbones, so the back of the neck feels a little bit longer. If it feels appropriate for you, I'd invite you to close your eyes. If you choose to keep your eyes open, then maybe just having a gentle gaze looking out towards the ceiling or to what's above you. Just giving yourself just a few moments to begin to just feel into the body and just notice how the body feels in this reclining position. Whether there's areas or parts of you that your attention gets drawn to. You might notice different sensations in the body. You might notice areas that might feel a little bit restricted or stiff. There might be parts of you that feel warm or cool. There might be parts of you that feel quite energized, or other parts of you that might feel quite tired. Then what I'd like you to do is turn your attention to the breath and to the hands that are placed against the lower part of your abdominal region. And as you breathe in, what I'd like you to do is just allow your lower abdominal muscles to relax and allow your belly to gently swell into your hands. And then as you exhale, just allowing that swelling just to gently release. So as you breathe in, you're just naturally breathing down to the base of the lungs, letting the abdomen gently rise up towards the hands. And as you exhale, just letting the abdominal region just gently soften as you let go of the breath. So the trick here is to try not to use the sort of abdominal muscles to do the lifting and the lowering. The body will just naturally do that on its own. There's a natural expansion with the in-breath and a natural contraction with the out-breath. You might even notice the hands just gently moving as you breathe. Hands just being a reference point to this abdominal breathing that we're doing. And then once we start to get a little bit more familiar with this abdominal breathing, which is very much associated with calming down our nervous system, we're going to start to elongate our breath. So we're just going to let our breath, of the in-breath and the out-breath, just get a little bit longer. Maybe there's a sense of the breath even getting a little bit deeper as you do that as well. And then when you feel ready, what I'd like you to do is let the hands just fall away from the body. So just rest them down by your side. If you've got your legs outstretched, then just walk your feet towards yourself. And if you've got a bolster underneath the legs, just slide it out. Just feet, and these are going to be pointing up towards the ceiling. I want you to interlace your hands and just take a stretch over towards the ceiling. And if you can, take the arms over the top of the head. So we're just stretching through the upper body. Let's take a big breath in here, big breath in. And maybe a yawn or a sigh as we stretch through that upper body. Let's repeat that again, a big breath in, lengthen through the torso. And breathe out with a sigh or audible exhalation. Let's do that one more time if that feels okay. Big breath in. And a lovely long breath out. Fantastic. Bring the arms back down by your sides now. And then I'd like you to pick up your right leg and draw your right leg up towards your body. So you're either going to support that right leg around the back of the thigh, or you're going to hold the front of the knee and the shin. And then just with your right ankle, I want you to begin to circle your right foot around. Notice how clicky your right ankle is feeling today. Mine's particularly clicky. Put it down to the slightly colder weather. And then circle the foot in the other way. Just noticing how that feels to do that rotation of that right ankle. And then in a kind and gentle way towards ourselves, what I'd like you to do is just extend your right leg up towards the ceiling. Imagine you're going to plant your right foot upon the ceiling. So you're going to draw the toes towards you, push the heel away from you. So say you're sort of flattening your foot towards the ceiling. And then we're going to bend the knee and draw that leg in towards the body. So as we inhale, we're going to extend that right leg up, flex the toes. And as we exhale, we're going to bend that right knee and squeeze the thigh in towards the abdomen. So we've got this slight sort of, almost like a pumping action happening on the right-hand side of our abdominal area. Now, the reason that I said be kind and gentle to yourself is for some people, the back of their legs can be really tight. So it might be that the straightening doesn't actually straighten your leg. It just takes it in a slightly less bent position than what it would be normally. So just exploring that movement one more time. Then what I'd like you to do, right hand is going to come on your right knee. Left hand is just going to rest by your left hand side on the floor. And I'd suggest turn the palm down because you're going to use that palm being placed down just to act as a little bit of a stabilizer. And then we're going to circle our right knee out towards the right side. Take it down towards where your toes would be and then circle it back towards your midline and then back up to where it came from. So in effect, what we're doing is we're drawing a complete circle with our right knee. Now that complete circle doesn't have to be a pretty circular shape. It can be a little bit of a wobbly circular shape. It might have a few indents in it. It might have a few kind of areas where it moves in and out, because our hip joint doesn't just work in a perfect circular way. There's all different connective tissues and different parts of the hip that really are affected by other parts of the body and ways that we use our body. So although we're acting in a circular way, you're probably not drawing an exact circle. We're going to circle in the opposite way now. So staying with that right leg. Now, as you're doing this, I want you to notice what your left leg is doing. Is your left leg sort of wafting around a little bit? And can you just push your left foot firmly into the floor to help stabilize through that left side of the body a little bit more, but as we're working through that right side? Okay, so the last thing we're going to do, actually two more things we're going to do. You're going to hold the front of your right knee now. We're going to take a big breath in again. And as we out breath, we're going to lift our head up towards our right knee. We're going to inhale as we take the head back to the floor. And as we exhale, lift the nose towards the knee. Let's repeat that a couple more times. So we're just working with our breath. If lifting the head up causes any tension through the neck, through the jaw, through the shoulders, you don't need to lift the head up. You might just want to squeeze that right leg in. Do that one more time. Fantastic. Bring your head back to the floor. Last thing we're going to do here is you're going to cross your right ankle onto your left mid thigh. And then I'd like you to stretch your arms out at chest height. Now, if you can't stretch them all the way out, you can make a sort of cactusy type shape with your arms by bending your elbows and just bringing the backs of the hands to the floor. And then I want you to be really gentle as we start to do this, but we're just going to rock our legs from side to side. So the right ankle stays on that left thigh, and we're just rocking the legs gently side to side. And as we're doing this, you might notice there's a point where kind of gravity sort of takes over, and you want to make sure that you kind of don't get drawn down too far into that twist. We're just being quite light with the body. So we're almost judging where that point is where we need to draw back. And as we draw back, we're using the abdominal muscles, we're using the muscles around the hip, the stabilizing muscles around the side body to allow that action to happen. So we're going to do one more of these little swings from side to side with the leg. Brilliant. And then what I want you to do is place your right foot onto the floor, slide your right leg away, slide your left leg away, interlace the hands again and draw the arms overhead. Let's point our toes towards the far end of our mat. And then let's do the opposite. Let's flex our heels towards the end of the mat, drawing the toes towards the crown. So just pointing and flexing of those feet a few times as you draw the arms over the top of the head. So when you feel ready, I want you to now hug both of your knees up in towards your body and just have a little rock or circles around. You might find you want to kind of work the lower back into the floor a little bit more. You might even find that you want to place your feet on the floor and lift your hips up. We are going to do this in a little while, but if you find that helps you to just kind of let the pelvis find a neutral position, that's a really great thing to do. And then we're going to do exactly the same thing on the left-hand side. So we're going to hold our left leg, holding the back of that left leg, or holding the front of that left knee and shin, and just begin to circle your left foot around. So just exploring how that feels. Maybe the mobility of the left ankle is easier than the right. I notice my left ankle doesn't click cuff as much as my right one does. Maybe that's same or different for you. Just exploring how that feels. Going in both directions with those circles. Brilliant. And then we're going to extend our left leg up towards the ceiling. So again, remember, you don't have to get a straight leg. And then you're going to bend that left knee and squeeze the thigh into the left side of the abdomen. So we inhale as we extend, exhale as we squeeze and bend that knee in. So repeat that a few more times. So these movements are really useful to help with mobility of the joints. They help gently warm up the muscles and the connective tissue of the body. So just one more time. Brilliant. So your hands might want to stay around the back of the leg, or you might want to move them onto the front of the shin. We're going to keep our right foot firmly pressed into the floor. We're going to take an inhalation here. And as we out breath, lift our head up towards our knee. Inhale as you lower the head and shoulders back to the floor. Exhale as you lift and curl into that little ball. So again, just repeating that a couple more times. Just exploring how that feels. The weight of the head. The head is actually one of the heaviest parts of our bodies. So lifting the head off of the floor can put quite a lot of strain on the upper part of the torso. So if you're starting to feel a bit fatigued or tired, know it's okay to not have to lift the head. So when you've repeated your final one of that sequence, you are going to bring your left hand onto your left knee. Right hand is going to be on the floor, stabilizing by the side. And we're going to circle our left knee around. So we're exploring the mobility through that left hip joint. And while we're doing this, we're also obviously moving through the knee. So this movement, isolated just to the left side, can really show up differences between the left hip and the right hip. And for many of us, we tend to have quite a unsymmetrical bodies, despite, what we get told about trying to bring things back into symmetry. Actually, we have a dominant side, and that dominant side tends to do more than the other side. I know when I have injuries, it tends to be more on one side than the other. And, when I start to think about how I use my body, it kind of makes sense why those injuries happen on one side more than the other. We're going to circle around in the opposite way. Fantastic. And then the last thing we're going to do is placing that left ankle on the right thigh or the right knee. And then we're going to begin that process of just letting the legs just gently drop left to right, right to left. So we're just kind of swaying them across the mat. It might be that this second time the body feels a little bit warmer. You might feel a little bit more confident of taking that sway a little bit bigger. It might be that you stay well within a range that feels safe and comfortable for your back today. So it's really important that you recognize what is the right thing for you in this practice, rather than just having to replicate what I'm doing or what anyone else might be doing next to you. If there's something that you feel you want to do that's completely different, I would actively encourage you to do that. You don't have to follow anything that I'm doing or saying. This is your practice and your time. Fantastic. So from this position, we're going to bring the feet back onto the floor. What I'm going to suggest we all do is take our block. If you're at home and you're using maybe like a cushion or a pillow or something, this is going to be really useful as well. And I want you to bring your block and place it behind the back of your head. And then we are going to all need to coordinate what we do here, because otherwise we're going to end up all clashing into each other in the studio. So I want you to find your left side. And if you're not sure, you can make an L with your hand and you'll know that's your left-hand side. And then you're going to roll onto your left-hand side. And I want you to make sure that your head is being supported by the block. So if you do need to maybe increase it, you could maybe put your blanket or another cushion underneath here. I want you to now bend your knees. So you're in kind of like, almost like a sort of like a fetal type position. So your knees are bent, your thighs are quite close towards the body. And then I want you to stretch your left hand along the floor in front of your chest, and then bring your right hand on top of your left hand. So by doing this, what we're doing is we're just kind of leading into that left-hand side of the body. And then you might want to listen really carefully, or you might just want to take a little look if you're more of a visual learner. But what we're going to do is we're going to raise our right arm. You're going to reach it up towards the ceiling, and then you're going to continue to take that right arm all the way back behind you. And all the while you're doing that, you're rolling your head across the block. So you end up following those fingertips. So they, of that right hand, till they're all the way back behind you. And then we're going to close that right hand all the way back to the left. So this is sometimes called the clam. Imagine your upper body is like a clam. And you're going to inhale as you open the clam up, floating that right arm all the way back behind you, rolling through your head. So your head is looking back to your right side. And then as we exhale, we're going to close that clam, bringing the hand back onto that left hand. Let's do that a few times, just opening and floating, closing and floating. And it hasn't got to be that your hand reaches the floor, the arm reaches the floor. Some of you will have different mobility and restrictions through your shoulders. So you just let your body just kind of go where it wants to go, but in this opening and closing fashion. Just exploring how that feels. And we're starting to twist through the body as we move into that clam position. And as we come to close the clam, we're going back into a more like a linear position. So the next time you end up with your right arm in that open clam position, I want you to just pause there. Now notice what's going on around your knees, around your thighs, around your hips. If it feels better, you could separate the knees and the thighs away from each other, and that might allow you to feel like you can twist a little bit more over towards that right-hand side. Maybe let your eyes look towards your right thumb or your right fingers. See if you can allow your breath just for this next couple of breaths, maybe 3 to 5 breaths. Just breathing into that upper chest, into that rib area. And then when you feel ready with your next exhalation, we are going to close that right hand onto the left. Just take a moment, just let everything settle here. And then what I'd like you to do is roll onto your back. As you roll onto your back, you're coming back, knees bent, feet on the floor. But I want you to slide the block just above your head. So we don't want the block underneath our head or any cushions underneath our head for the moment. I want you to rest your arms down by your sides, but quite close towards your body. So almost as though if you find your thumbs and you can just sort of touch your buttocks or touch your hips, that's probably as close as you want to be. And then bring the heels quite close towards your buttocks as well. Chin is slightly down again. And what we're going to do is push our feet into the floor, and I want you to lift your hips up towards the sky. We're going to take a breath or two here, squeezing those glutes together, lightly pushing your knees towards your toes or in the direction of your toes. And then when you feel ready, as we exhale, we're going to lower the back onto the earth. So gently curling yourself back down. Take a couple of breaths here to recover. You might even find yourself doing a little bit of a pelvic tilt just to kind of reset the back. And then when you feel ready, we're going to inhale, push the feet into the floor and lift the hips back up towards the sky. Taking a couple of breaths here, squeezing those glutes together, pushing those knees away, drawing the chin lightly down towards the chest, maybe even slightly pushing the arms into the floor to engage through the shoulder blades and the upper part of the back. When you feel you've had enough, come down with an exhalation. Pause in here for a moment or two. Again, if you feel you need to do a little kind of mini pelvic tilt back and forth, please do. And then this third time, we're going to lift into this bridge position. So we're doing exactly the same engagement with the lower body. But what I want you to do is see if you can bring your hands together behind your back. You're going to create a fist with your hands, and then you're going to squeeze your arms as though you're reaching down towards your heels. So you're squeezing the upper back together. Keep squeezing those glutes, pushing the knees slightly over the toes. Breath is regular into the chest. And then when you feel ready, separate the hands, lower the back gently on towards the earth. Pause here for a moment. If you need to do a little mini pelvic tilt on the floor, you can. If you feel more inclined to want to hug the knees in towards the chest and do a slightly bigger pelvic tilt by moving the knees towards you and away from you, that also can be a great thing to do. So you might want to hold the knees on the back of the thighs and do a little bit of a bigger tilt there. You might also find just rolling across the back or circling on the back can all feel good things to do. Fantastic. So feet are going to come back onto the floor. We're going to reach above our heads, just slide our block back underneath our heads. I always find as well, I want to push the block slightly towards the left-hand side this time. So I've got more space to roll onto. And then we're going to roll on our right-hand side. So again, you're going to be in that fetal position. The right side of your head is going to be on your block or your support. Your right arm is going to be on the floor, stretched in line with the chest. And the left hand is going to be the one that we're opening and closing into that clam position. So before we coordinate with the breath, just see how it feels to move. So you start to float that left arm up, floating it back behind you, following that left hand with your eyes. And then we're going to close that left hand back towards the right. So if you want to incorporate the breath, we inhale as we open into that clam position. And we exhale as we close. If that is too kind of slow for your breath, you might want to do an inhale and an exhale as you open, and an inhale and an exhale as you close. So it's kind of can be tailored to how your breath is today. Maybe if you're feeling a little bit short of breath, sometimes this colder weather can really affect our respiratory systems, particularly if you have conditions like asthma or things that are affected by this slightly colder, sharper weather that we're having. Not that I'm complaining about this lovely sun and blue skies is beautiful. Really is. So when you feel ready, we're going to roll into our open clam, and we're just going to stay here for about 3 to 5 breaths. If you need to bend the elbows a little bit more to soften the shoulders, think about softening the efforts through the neck, through the eyes, through the jaw. So we've actually come into quite a big twist here to be holding, and just notice how that's affecting your respiratory system and the way that you're breathing at this time. And then whenever you are ready, we're going to close that clam, come all the way back. Just pause in on that right side for just a couple of moments, just to let the body and the breath regulate. And then what I'd like you to do is bring your left hand onto the floor, just kind of in front of the chest, push into that left hand, and let's just gently push ourselves up. As you come up, I want you to bring yourself into a 4-point kneeling position. So if you find it useful to maybe put some padding for underneath the knees or underneath the wrists, you might want to double up your mat if you haven't done already, or grab a blanket and put it underneath so it's a little bit softer. So we're going to start off with our wrists more or less underneath our shoulder joints, our knees more or less underneath our hip joints. So we're just going to go back to doing some cat and cow movement that we were looking at last week and the last couple of weeks. So what I'd like you to do is as you exhale, you're going to round the back. So you let your eyes look towards your thighs. Imagine you're drawing your tail between your legs by slightly drawing your navel towards the back of your body. And then we're going to do the opposite. So we're going to start to lift our gaze, lift our chest. Imagine you're lifting your tail up. Then as you exhale, you're going to round the back as though the back is arching towards the ceiling, looking back towards the tail between your legs, and then do the opposite. Lift the tail, lift the chest, lift the eyes. So we'll start to coordinate our breath. So as we round into that cat shape is our natural exhalation. And as we lift into the second shape, which is called the cow, that's a natural inhale. Now, it might be that your breath does something different. It might be that your body does something different, and that's okay. If you want to breathe in different ways, or if you want to do more than one breath in the movement, you can do. Just letting yourself just explore how that feels to move through the spine in this way. Noticing as the more you start to move it, whether it starts to get a little bit easier, maybe you start to get a bit fatigued, maybe it just kind of feels quite neutral and it feels quite a common or natural thing for you to move the body in this way. Maybe see how it feels just to pause in one of those cat shapes for a couple of breaths and just stay with that arching of the back and see how that feels. Maybe seeing how it feels to do the opposite, lifting into that cow shape and how that may feel to hold for a few breaths. Brilliant. And then coming back to a neutral position with your back. I'd like you to come off of your wrists. You're going to come down onto your elbows. And I want you to take an interlace of your hands together. Okay. We're now going to step our right leg back behind ourselves. So what I'd like you to do is use your sticky mat to tuck your toes onto and then push your heel just lightly back. So this is going to sort of unstabilize ourselves a little bit, and your core muscles are going to definitely start to kick in at some point because they have to. And then what we're going to do is we're going to circle around. So you're going to make a circle with your body. So imagine you're circling on your toes, you're moving your shoulders around in a circular way. This is really great to help with strengthening of the shoulders, also strengthening of that left knee and hip. Notice if you're going really fast, if you're going slow, the faster you go, probably the quicker you want to get this over with. Let's go the other way. Fantastic. Brilliant. So you're going to bring your right knee down to join your left knee. I want you to bring your hands back where your elbows were, and then I'd like you to push yourself all the way up into a high kneeling position. So you remember how we was in our bridge before and we took our hands back behind ourselves. We're going to see if we can do that again. So you're going to squeeze the hands together, draw the shoulder blades together, and then push the hands down towards your heels. And what I want you to do here is push your chest forwards and slightly look up. So think about breathing into this upper part of that sort of pectoral upper chest area. If you feel comfortable and confident with your back, you might want to push your hips forwards a little bit more. So you're coming into a slightly deeper back bend here. This is called the camel. Brilliant. So we're going to release. While we're here, hands are going to be on your elbow, on your shoulders. Do some circles. It's just going to help to just release tension and distract ourselves because we know we've got to do that circling thing on the other side in a minute. Go the other way. Brilliant. Okay, let's prepare ourselves. Get ready to do it again. So come into our 4-point kneeling and then coming down onto our elbows. I want you to interlace your hands together and then notice how you've interlaced them. And I want you to shift everything forwards or backwards one. So you're going to interlace the hand in an unusual way. So if you get that unusual way, it will feel really odd. So all that's doing is just using different muscle groups, it's using different parts of our bodies, because habitually we'll always do the same thing. So I'm going to get you to do something different. So then we're going to tuck our left set of toes under. Okay, utilize that left foot as kind of like a stabilizer for you. And then we're going to start to circle around. So let's see if we can go really slowly. Doesn't matter how many circles that you do, but I really want you to feel into that circling. I purposely saved this one, Mark, for when your mum wasn't here. I know she would have liked it. You're not keen on it, Marion? No, let's go the other way. We're nearly there. Brilliant. Okay, fantastic. Bring that left knee down. Bring the hands back underneath where the shoulders were. Push yourself up. We're going to walk all the way back up into that high kneeling position again. Okay, we're going to come into our camel again. So you're going to interlace the hands behind your back. This time, tuck your toes under. So you're going to utilize that just to act as a little bit of a kind of little bit of confidence, because we're going to see if we can lean back a little bit further this time. So squeeze the shoulder blades, project the fists down towards your heels, lean slightly back, but push your hips forward. Use the floor and the feet to help add a little bit more of a sense of grounding. Again, breath into that upper chest, upper back area. Fantastic, brilliant. Bring the hands back by your sides. I want you to just step forward in the safest way for you and come up to stand. Brilliant. I'm going to suggest clear your mat off of anything that you might be able to fall over. I want you to come and stand. So you're going to be facing along the long edge of your mat rather than towards the thin edge. So same as what I'm doing now. We're going to walk our feet out. So our feet are going to be about as long as one of our legs. So walk your feet about as wide as you can take them to. Okay, once we've brought the feet into this wide position, we're going to bring our hands onto our hips. We're going to take an inhale here, and I want you to think about getting long from your hips all the way up towards your crown. And then we're going to see if we can fold over our fingertips. So you're going to start to lean forwards. And as you lean forward, your weight might go into the heels or it might go into the toes. Keep leaning forwards. And then if it feels comfortable for you, bring your hands onto your thighs. You might want to slide your hands onto your shins. You might want to bring your hands to your ankles. You might even want to bring your hands on the floor in front of you. So now notice where your weight is. Is it in the heels? Is it in the toes? And I want you to find a middle place somewhere between the heels and the toes where your weight is being distributed. So it might mean leaning forwards a little bit. It might mean leaning backwards a little bit. Maybe you notice there's a little bit of kind of weight in one side more than the other. Some people will find actually if they're not using the floor, this might be a little bit harder to judge. If you are using the floor, if you want to use the floor, you can always put a bolster in front of you if you can't reach the floor. Okay, so what I'd like you to do now is with your right hand, you're just going to slide it so it's in front of your face, but on the floor or on the support. You're going to bring your left hand onto your lower back, and then I want you to turn yourself around and look up towards your left shoulder, and then see if you can project your left hand up towards the ceiling. You can bend your knees as much as you need to here. The most important thing to be doing is breathing. Try to keep that equal distribution through the weight of the feet, the weight into that right hand. Let's take one more breath in. As we exhale, bring your left hand down. Place it where the right hand is. Bring your right hand onto your lower back. Let's turn ourselves around first. Look over that right shoulder. And if you wanted to, you can extend that right hand up towards the ceiling. So again, check you're equally distributing weight through both feet into that left hand that's supporting ourselves in front of ourselves. We're in that kind of same position as that clam where we was before. Bring the left hand back onto the leg or onto the floor. We're going to bend both of our knees and start to walk ourselves up. We're bringing ourselves all the way back up into a stand position. Once you're up, I want you to heel and toe your feet all the way in until they're roughly hip distance apart. I want you to just take a moment just to stand completely tall. So from your feet all the way up through to the crown of your head. Relax through your shoulders. Again, think about distributing your weight equally through your feet. So when you feel ready, what I'd like you to do is as you inhale, you're going to float your arms up and you're going to look up to the ceiling. As you exhale, you're going to fold forward. So you're going to separate the hands. You're going to bend the knees very slightly. Bring the hands to the shins or onto the ankles or onto the feet and fold over your legs. As you inhale, I want you to look up. So you're going to lift your abdomen away from your thighs. Look ahead. You're going to exhale, fold back over your legs so let your head get really heavy. You're going to inhale, come all the way up to stand. Interlace the hands together above your head. And as you exhale, you're going to lean towards your right hand side. You're going to inhale as you come back to the center. Exhale as you lean over towards the left hand side. Inhale back to the center. Exhale, float the arms back down by your side. So we're going to repeat that a few times. So we're going to inhale as you float the arms up and look up to the ceiling. As you exhale, separate the hands and fold yourself forward. Hands come to the shins, ankles, feet, maybe the floor. Inhale as you look up, lift the abdomen off the thighs, eyes look ahead. Exhale, fold over the legs, let the head get heavy. Inhale, come all the way back up to stand. Remember at the top, we're going to interlace our hands. Exhale, lean to our right side. Inhale, come to the center. Exhale, lean to our left side. Inhale, come to the center. Exhale, float both of the hands down. Let's repeat that one more time. We're going to inhale as you float the arms up and look up to the ceiling. Exhale, folding forwards. Inhale as you look up, lift the abdomen off the legs. Exhale, fold back over the legs, let the head get heavy. Inhale, come all the way back up to stand. Interlace the hands at the top. Exhale, lean to the right side. Inhale to the center. Exhale to the left side. Inhale to the center. Exhale, float the arms all the way back down. Just take a moment, just let yourself just settle in this position, relaxing through the shoulders, relaxing the jaw, standing tall. Fantastic. So what I'd like you to do from here is you're going to turn so you're facing towards the front of your mat, the thin edge of your mat. And I want you to walk your feet together. So your big toes are going to touch, your heels are going to touch, your thighs will be touching. And then you're going to step your right foot forwards in front of your left. So we're on a kind of balance beam. Okay, so I'm probably going to turn this way so I don't make Sam laugh. Because what we want to do is make sure that we've got something to look out towards and preferably not somebody else. We're going to bring our hands into our prayer position, into Amanjali Mudra. Just take a moment, squeeze the thighs together, particularly if you feel yourself wobbling around a little bit. This is all about the stabilizing muscles working. You can probably feel them keep switching in every time you wobble or move. Okay, then we're going to see if we can test our bravery today. And we're going to start to turn towards our right hand side. So as you start to turn, squeeze the thighs together. Let your gaze look over your right shoulder. Let the eyes fix on something over that right shoulder. Brilliant. When you feel ready, we're going to turn ourselves back to the center. Looks so easy, really hard, isn't it? Let's do the opposite. Let's go to the left side. So you're going to be restricted in your ability to twist to this left side. Look over your left shoulder. Find something to look at. Couple of breaths here. Come all the way back to center. I forgot to say, if you again feel like you're wobbling, other than squeezing the thighs together, push the hands together as well. It does something. We're then going to step forward. So the left foot is going to be in front of our right foot. We're still on our balance beam. We're going to squeeze those thighs together. This time we're going to twist over towards the left-hand side. Keep squeezing the thighs, pushing the hands together. Look as far as you can round towards that left-hand side. Is it easier? Sometimes familiarity makes it easier as well. We come all the way back to the center. And then turning, looking all the way over the right shoulder. Just think about Vernon Kay. Nothing can be as bad as doing that 110-mile run. And come all the way back to the center. Brilliant. You're going to step the hands down, step the feet down, just kind of have a little bit of a shake. Let yourself breathe again. So we're going to turn ourselves back towards the thin edge of our mat. Feet are going to be hip distance apart. I want you to bend your knees now. And as you bend your knees, you're going to drop your bottom down behind the back of your knees. Hands are either going to be on your hips. They could be stretched forwards. You could take them over the top of your head. So again, I want you to squeeze your thighs together, squeeze your glutes together, draw the navel slightly back towards the back of the body and see if you can sink the bottom a little bit lower. Take another breath in. See if you can sink a little bit lower still. Have a smile on your face. One more breath in. Sink a little bit lower. Fantastic. Inhale, come all the way back up to stand and release. Give everything a little shake again. Brilliant. 20 past. So we're going to come and actually we're going to come down and lie on our backs again. As you come and lie on your back, come back into that first position where we started. So your knees are going to be bent. Your feet are going to be flat up on the floor. I'd like you to place your right ankle back on top of your left thigh again. As you do this, what I'd like you to do is bring both of your hands around the back of your left thigh and see if you can lift your left leg towards you. So you're going to pick your left foot off the floor. So if this starts to cause you any tension or pain through your right knee, what I'd like you to do is just flex your right foot so you're drawing the toes towards the right knee joint. And this will just help to just switch on some of the muscles around the right knee if it feels a little bit vulnerable. So you're probably feeling quite a deep stretch into that right glute area, maybe down into that right hip area. And then when you feel ready, firstly, keep your right foot exactly where it is, but you're going to place your left foot back onto the floor. I'd then like you to see if you can take your legs in this position over towards your left-hand side. And then bring your hands and interlace them together around the back of your head, and then turn your head in the opposite direction to the way that your legs are going. So you might find with your right foot, some of you might be able to place the right foot on the floor and the knee pops up towards the ceiling. Some of you might be the knee might be a little bit closer towards the left-hand side of the floor. So we've done quite a lot of sort of twisting positions today in various different ways, working through twists of the upper body, working through twists of the lower body. And it can be so important to kind of challenge the ways that we move and use our bodies, because it helps to kind of get out of the sort of patterns that our body gets used to. So this diagonal stretching across the body is a really fantastic thing to do, particularly if you feel tight around the waist or tight around the ribs, in the lower back or the hips. So we're going to turn our head back to the center, lift your head out of your hands, and just bring your arms gently back down by your sides. And then I'm going to suggest just uncross your legs and just gently roll them back to where we started. We're going to do exactly the same thing on the opposite side now. So left ankle is going to come onto your right thigh. You're going to reach down towards your right thigh, pick up your right foot, and draw both of those legs in towards your body. So again, you'll probably feel quite an intense stretch or sensation around that left side of the glutes, into that left side of the waist, maybe even in the inner and the outer thigh of that left leg. Again, if that feels too much to pick up that right leg, you can keep the right foot on the floor. Even just being in that position is enough for some people. Another way that you can modify this is to actually do this near a wall and put that right foot against the wall, so you're not having to sort of use the upper body to do so much of the sort of heavy lifting there. So when you feel ready, right foot is going to come back onto the floor. Keep the left ankle where it is. We're going to let both of the knees just drift towards that right-hand side. They're quite similar to what we were doing when we were moving side to side a bit earlier on. But this time we're taking that leg as far as we can over. And then again, an interlace of the hands. Interlace your hands in their normal way, and then see if you can shift the fingers backwards and forwards one. So we've got that odd interlace of our hands. And then turn your head, looking towards the left-hand side. Again, we've got this twist happening through that left side of the body, from that left elbow all the way down into that left knee joint. Notice how it feels to breathe here, where the breath feels like it wants to go, where the restrictions may be. Notice if you're causing any effort or tension for yourself, either in your body or in your breath. And then when you feel ready, just gently bringing the head back to the center, then lift the head out of the hands and release the hands back by your side. Uncross the legs and just gently roll yourself back to where we started. Again, if you want to stretch your legs away from you, if you want to hug your knees in towards you, maybe there's some rocking or some lifting or stretching that you feel you need to do in this moment, then I would encourage you to do that. And then I'd invite you to begin to prepare yourself ready to relax. So you can choose how you want to relax. If you'd like to lie, you can lie. If you'd like to sit, you can sit. If you're at home and you prefer to maybe lie on a bed or a sofa, you can do that. There's some extra blankets here if anyone's feeling a bit cool and wants an extra layer or two. Please do also put on any extra clothing or socks or coverings that you might have brought with you as well. Does anyone want another blanket at all? Right. So whether you are sitting or lying, just taking time to kind of support the body in a way that feels really kind of as effortless as possible. Remember, we started this practice with our hands resting on the abdomen. So for some people, if you found that really comforting, you might want to bring the hands back to end the practice in the same way. I'd like you to just take a little bit of time just to let yourself just begin to settle. If there's any shifting or moving, anything you need to do to let yourself feel comfortable, now's the right time to do it. So allow yourself to be aware of the connection between your body and the surfaces beneath your body. So allowing yourself to feel the weight of the body being took by what's beneath you, feeling held. We're going to take another few of those breaths where we breathe in through the nose and a long audible breath out, sighing, releasing any held tension or energy that might be stored in the body. And then when you feel ready, just let the breath just find its own natural pattern, its own rhythm. The next part of our practice, I'd like you to visualize or imagine all the way around you, you are creating a circle of protection. And that circle of protection can be made of anything that you would like it to be made of. It might be made of a healing light. It might be a specific color that signifies something to you. It might be made of flowers or plants or trees. It might be mud or clay. brick or metal. Might be fire or water. You're creating this circle of protection around yourself. And that circle of protection acts as a boundary between everything that's happening outside of your circle, all of the different things that are continuing on, my voice, different sounds, life happening. And within that circle of protection is a space for you to be able to rest. A space where there is nothing for you to be doing. There's nobody to please in this circle. There's nothing for you to strive for. There's definitely no deadlines that you need to meet. And by being in this circle that you've created for yourself, it's an acknowledgement that right now you're in exactly the right place. So welcome yourself into your circle of protection. Almost as though it's this welcoming yourself home. So the next part of our practice is going to involve a rotation of our awareness. And what I'd like you to visualize is a colour that signifies healing to you. So just think about a colour. Or if you struggle to find that colour, think about an object that is that colour that you know. And what I'd like you to do is draw your attentions to your eyebrow centre. And imagine at your eyebrow centre, you're allowing that area to be illuminated with that colour, that healing colour. Allowing that healing colour to sink into your mind, to sink into the face, into the head. And then move your attention down to the very centre of your throat. And again, placing that healing colour at the centre of your throat. Allowing that healing colour to fill that throat area. And I'd like you to move your attention down to your right shoulder joint. And you're going to allow that healing light to be focused at your right shoulder joint. And then move your attention down to the right elbow joint, shining that healing light and colour there. And then drawing your attention to your right wrist. And then to the tip of your right thumb, your right first finger, second finger, third finger, and your right little finger. So the thumb, the fingers, and the whole of your right arm is illumined with that beautiful healing colour and light. Then moving your attention back to the centre of your throat again. And then moving your attention with that healing light over to your left shoulder joint. Shining that healing light there. And then move your awareness down to the left elbow joint, then the left wrist joint, into the tip of your left thumb, first finger, second finger, third finger, the left little finger, the thumb, the fingers, the hand, the whole of that left arm is illumined with that beautiful healing light. Then move your attention back up to the center of the throat again. I'd like you to draw your attention to the center of your chest and allow the whole of that chest and breast area to be illumined with that beautiful healing light. Shining that light into the left side of the chest or breast, to the right side of the chest or breast. And then move your attention down to the very center of your navel and allowing that healing light to shine into that navel center. And then move your attention down to the very tip of your tailbone, almost at the center of your pelvis. And allow your healing light to shine into the center of your pelvis. Then move your attention over to your right hip joint, shining that healing light into the right hip joint. And then move it down to your right knee joint, to the right ankle joint, to the tip of your right big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, and fifth toe. All of those right toes, the right foot, the right leg, all the way back up to the hip are illumined with that beautiful healing light. And then move your attention back to the center of the pelvis, the tip of the tailbone. And then moving your attentions over to your left hip joint, shining that healing light into that left hip joint. And then move it down to the left knee joint and down to the left ankle joint and to the tip of your left big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, your left little toe. All of the toes, the foot, that left leg, all the way up to the hip are illumined with that beautiful healing light. Then moving your attention back to the center of the pelvis, then to the navel center, to the chest or breast center, the throat center, the eyebrow center, and then moving the attention to the top of your head and allow the whole of that circle of protection with you within it to be illumined and bathed with that healing light. Allowing yourself to feel held, to feel protected. I'd like you to once more just be aware of that barrier that you created, that boundary, that circle of protection around you. And this time, allow yourself to begin to just externalize your awareness. So knowing that that circle of protection is there whenever we need it. Whenever we need a bit of a recharge or we need some space to be, we can come back to that. As you begin to allow yourself to maybe listen to different sounds happening outside of that circle, you hear maybe the furthest sounds that you can hear away. And you might be gently beginning to let your breath maybe start to change a little bit, so the breath might get a little bit deeper. You might wish to allow just a little bit of movement back into your fingers, maybe back into your toes. Maybe just naturally there's a sense of wanting to stretch or yawn, to sigh. It might be that if you've been lying on your back, you might find it useful to roll onto one side. If you've been on your side, you might want to just change your lying position. If you've been sitting, you might just want to change how you're sitting. But what we're planning on doing is just gently bringing ourselves up into a seat when we feel ready. So as we bring ourselves up, you might want to sit on something. You might want to cover yourself with some things. But what I'd like you to do, once you're in a comfortable seat, is just place one hand and just place it on this center of the chest or breast, this area known as the energetic heart center. And the placing of the hand against this energetic heart center is just this opportunity to remind ourselves that we have a lot to cope with in our life, and how well that we're doing at that. A reminder to continue to find those times when we can just check in with how we are. And we allow ourselves to proceed with honesty towards ourselves, listening to that intuitive guide or wisdom within us. Or maybe there's something right now your intuitive wisdom needs to let you know. So let yourself just take a moment just to be present, to listen. Reminding ourselves, if nothing does arise, we've created that space and it knows it's there whenever it's ready. So to close our practice today, bring your hands to Amanjali mudra, and we'll close with one repetition of the mantra Om, 3 repetitions of the mantra Shanti. So if you'd like to listen, please do. If you'd like to join in, please do. Let's take a collective breath all together and a breath out. A breath in, ready to chant for this. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bow your head towards your hands to acknowledge the care, the attention that you've shown to yourself today, the care and the attention that we've shown to each other. And allow these practices to continue to support, nourish, and guide you through the rest of your day. Om Shanti. Thank you, everybody, for your time. Really nice to be here with you all. Take your time, there's no rush. Please step back into the world. Thank you, everyone online as well. Really nice to be here with you all.